Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to talk about something I think most of you have heard about out there. It's the Oklahoma National Guard. And in Oklahoma right now, the National Guard leadership and the governor have said, we are not going to initiate a mandate, a vaccine mandate with our soldiers. If they want to get the vaccine, fine. If they don't, we're not going to do anything to them. Now, first off, let's put it in perspective. 90% of them already are vaccinated. There's only like 10% that aren't. So it's not like, oh my God, the entire National Guard is unvaccinated or anything like that. It's just that they decided that they don't agree with the mandate and they're not going to do it. Well, this, cheesed off the Biden administration and the Pentagon. And they said, if you don't do it, you're going to run the risk of being in trouble. You're going to be in trouble. And I think most people know what my opinion is of when you're in the Army, Navy, Air Force, National Guard, Marines, whatever, you should just follow orders. And even Space Force now, I guess. If you were given a lawful command, you do it. You're GI, you're government property. You're not a person anymore. You don't have the rights of a normal individual. You're just, like I said, you're a tank or a boot or whatever. That's just the way it is when you're in the military. Anybody who's been in the military understands that. But in this situation, I'm kind of like, well, maybe they just shouldn't be under that chain of command. Because here's one of the things that the Pentagon said that I actually went, well, that sounds like a great idea. While they were threatening them, they were saying, if you don't get the vaccine, you might be barred from federal service. But you can still serve as a militia member in your state. Which I was like, well, that sounds like a better option. Why don't we just have state militias that aren't tied to the Pentagon? Now, I know we're all going to say, oh, but the National Guard's only answer to the governor, blah, blah, blah. They get so much from the federal. They take orders from federal. They get funding from federal. Their chain of command has to do with federal. It's just they are tied to the federal government. And if that wasn't true, I think they'd be a more effective force for what they are. I don't think we need National Guard that is tied to the federal government. Every state has, military bases of a national level in their state. Most of them have multiple. I think Wyoming only has 2, but I don't think that's going to be a big problem. I mean, what are you defending Wyoming from? I don't think there's a maniacal genius out there somewhere that's like, if I can just take over Wyoming, it's from there, it's the world. No one's doing that. Unless we can figure out some way that you can wire up a cow to be a nuclear device, I don't think that's a problem. So I think there's plenty of national military presence in every state already. I mean, it's not like they all house them in one place in Washington, D.C. or something. They're spread out. So I don't think we need National Guard. I think National Guard should be phased out and militias should be brought back. I think it would be better if it was done that way, if it was all local. It was all state funded. It was state driven. The people in the state between the ages of 17 and 35 were all draftable members if needed, but otherwise they could operate on a volunteer basis. Now you would have your core staff, your people that maintained the chain of command, maintained the materials, maintained everything that needed to be maintained, but the vast majority of your fighting force could just be people who come in one weekend a month and train. People that are trained in dealing with floods and bridges being washed out, things like that. Because that's a lot of what the National Guard does. So that would be awesome. And also, that way, these people who want to join the National Guard could do so. I think you'd swell the numbers of volunteers if they knew that, hey, I can join, serve my state, and I don't run the risk of the U.S. government saying, yeah, we're going to send you over to Iraq, even though you're National Guard. If more people knew that wasn't a possibility when they were in their state militia, I think our state militias would be overflowing. And I think we could develop, well-regulated militias. And well-regulated basically just means that they are professional and can run properly, that they work the way they're supposed to work. And I think we could do that with minimal full-time people, volunteer people, etc., and have great fighting forces. And forces that do the most of what the National Guard does, and that is help their communities. So I kind of think that threat, if you won't get to be federal military people anymore, I think that sounds like a great idea. I don't think they should be in the first place. Now, I know that will have some drawbacks. if states are starting to fund their own things. I think most states will have no problem getting people that are willing to train and participate, but materials might be a little different from state to state. If you look at a state like Arkansas, their idea of heavily armored vehicles might be, wearing 3 layers of clothes and riding a bicycle with your gun stuck to the front of it, because, funding. But otherwise, I don't see a real problem with it. I think most states can come up with the base, stuff they need. And hell, I know a lot of people would be willing to save money from like storage and stuff by saying, okay, we know that in this town, John and Cletus and Billy Ray, they all have MRAPs that we've provided. They're who we go to if we need those. If we need this, it's in Johnny B's garage and Allen's and whatever. Unless, of course, we're talking about California or New York, and it'd be like, Shane and Moonfry and Trevor, things like that. But, we'd still have central locations of stuff, but hey, it'd be a whole lot more harder for people to take out big bunches of stuff if it was spread out amongst the members, not consolidated in one spot. People could keep their own rifles in their own homes, etc. I just think, like I said, good idea. Let's get rid of the National Guard. Let's phase it out. Let's go back to militias, because militias could really use being taken back by the people. Militias have gotten a bad rap in the previous decades. I've had bad experiences with them. I won't go into that here, but I can tell you they definitely need to be reformed. And what better way to reform them than to bring them back into fashion as far as a state fighting force is concerned. Not everyone would have to be involved. It's not like you'd be drafted, but you would be, they would have the ability to draft you. But I think we would have enough people who volunteered, who said, yeah, I want to come out once a month and shoot all the big guns and use your ammo and do all this other stuff. But they don't want to be part of the big government machine that can be sent to Afghanistan, wherever. Some guy's idea of fun, believe it or not, is not to sleep in a barracks with 20 other guys and shower with 30 people every day. Especially not some of those other guys I showered with when I was in military. Some of them left me with a severe inferiority complex. Some of these people, I don't see how they're walking around. But I just think it'd be a better idea overall if the National Guards did slowly become militias. If we took back militia from meaning, a bunch of hillbilly jerkwads, wherever they are, who just get together and go, you know what? I don't like Hispanics teaching my kids, so they go down to the school and cause a problem. That's not a militia. That's just a bunch of bigots, no matter what side of it is you're on. So let's bring militias back. I'd love to do that. So I think those threats from the Pentagon to the Oklahoma National Guard, that should be like a little signpost, a little, sign warning thing to say, hey, the way we're doing it now, probably not the best way. Let's go back to militias, the way the founding fathers wanted us to. All right, everybody, I went really long there, but I'm going to go a little longer here because I mentioned in one of my live chats the other day that I do not claim to be an expert on anything, because even though I've got 45 years of experience, more than that, like 48 years of experience shooting, I still think I learn something all the time. So I don't consider myself an expert. And so many people do. They're like, one day they're like, I've never fired guns before, but I'm going to watch 100 videos. Now I'm a trainer. There's so many of those guys on the internet right now that don't know shit about guns. So that's why I personally just say, hey, I've got 48 years of experience. I know some things, but I ain't an expert. But I always called myself a self-proclaimed internet gun expert. And I said I even did a test to tell if you're a self-proclaimed internet gun expert. And some people asked, well, where is it? What does it consist of? So I thought today I would repost that test. I am a grown-ass man. As a lot of you already know, in many of my videos, I point out the fact that I'm a YouTube internet gun expert. Now, I don't like to brag, but that's just the way it is. It's just the facts, and I'm putting them out there. I've worked really hard to get that certification. Now, for some reason, this angers a lot of people. And they come into my videos and they leave hurtful comments like, well, what certifies you to be a YouTube internet gun expert? Or, you wouldn't know a gun if someone shoved it up your butthole. Hurtful things like that. At first I sit back and I go, why do people get so upset about the fact that I'm a YouTube internet gun expert? And then it hits me. They're jealous. Not just of my certification and my gun knowledge, but also, of course, of my chiseled bone structure, my natural good looks, and my sparkling personality. Well, the other day I actually came across some video footage of the testing that I did to become a YouTube internet gun expert. And I thought I would take a moment here to show you some of the actual footage so you can see how I actually became a YouTube internet gun expert. Well, as you can see from that one little section of the test, I did pretty darn well. That's 80%. And I'm pretty sure I would have done better because I think that last question was a trick. I don't think either of those actually count as real firearms. So I hope this puts to rest all the people who want to naysay and question my credibility, because as you can see, I am a certified YouTube internet gun expert. You ain't even my real dad. All right, there you go. Now you can tell if you qualify as a self-proclaimed internet gun expert. Are you up to snuff? If so, more power to you. And with that being said, I just want to sign off tonight by saying, as always, I hope you enjoyed the show and I hope you come back again tomorrow. Until then, I just want to remind everyone to always carry and stay safe until I see you again.